I just felt abandoned. I felt forgotten. I felt like there was no hope. I felt like I would never get married. I felt like I would never have kids. I could never live an abundant life because I was constantly in turmoil and I didn't understand why.
So on the outside of life, many people can look in and they'll see great things. Like you have an awesome marriage, you have great kids, you guys have a thriving business. And so people will see that. It's like the Instagram portrayal of life, you know? But on the inside, things can be different. What would people be surprised to learn about Tawny?
It's funny you say that because I've actually had a lot of people tell me, like, what? When they find out what I've struggled with. As a person like me, I'm very silly, very outspoken. A lot of people would describe me life of the party, like I'm always like hyping people up, but you know, I've struggled since a little girl with anxiety that can also lead on to depression. And so when people find that out, they're just like, you? Like how? What? And it's always hard for people to understand that someone can be happy, but yet still have these nights at home where they're struggling deeply with things like anxiety and depression.
So for you personally, how would you describe anxiety?
I'm never at peace completely, 100%. I always feel like this uneasiness in my soul. And sometimes it's just a constant crippling fear that has you and you don't even understand what it is. You don't understand why it's there.
What type of feelings do you get associated with it?
I definitely get like heart palpitations, nervousness. It's like constant nervousness, constantly feeling this overwhelming fear over you, almost like a dark cloud that you don't even know how to shake off. And when you don't know why it's there, it's really hard to navigate how to live your life and how to live it abundantly when you have something constantly weighing you down.
What would you say to somebody who goes, well, that's just stresses in life and people deal with that all the time?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah. No, I would say that's just like everyday stresses, everyday stuff. When I was 18, I went to a doctor and they diagnosed me with general anxiety disorder. It's not your everyday stresses of life. For me, there was never like a situation where I was like, oh, this is what caused anxiety. It was just constantly having it, constantly feeling this weakness over me, constantly feeling like this shame that I wasn't exactly sure why it was there.
So what was the worst experience you had in your life when it comes to feeling anxious, dealing with anxiety?
Since a young girl, I remember faking sick to stay home from school in elementary school. Then like moving more towards high school, end of high school, I got out of it was a long, bad breakup. And so I just went down this dark rabbit hole basically, and my anxiety was just getting worse and worse. By age 19, I was in this place for about 6 months where I didn't want to leave my house. And I was constantly in this state of fear and panic and worry where my physical body was reacting in ways where I was physically feeling exhaustion and just sick to my stomach most days, and just totally I felt like I wasn't not even in my own body. It just felt like something came over and just took over my body. And I didn't know how to navigate out of it at the time. And so it was just a dark, dark time in my life. And it brought on depression. Like there was so many days I was crying to my mom, like, I don't want to live. Like, I don't want to live. And I would pray to God, God, just take me. If this is how I'm going to feel every day, just take me, because I don't want to be here. I never attempted suicide, but I definitely thought it. I definitely thought out ways like, man, I could just do this and my life would be over. And the only thing that kept me from doing that was the love I had for everyone, the love I had for God, the fear of God that I have. But let me tell you, there was many nights that I would beg God to do it for me. Definitely came super far in my journey, and that's why when I talk about it, I tell people, like, it doesn't just go away. Something that's that deeply rooted, it's not necessarily a healing that I had where it's like, boom, it's gone. But God has brought me so far, and I'm so thankful for that.
So you talked about life to the fullest there, and John 10:10 says that Jesus came, he said, I came to give life and life to the full.
Yeah.
How do you feel dealing with anxiety has robbed you from that full life that God promises us?
Yeah. So like I said, from an early age, I didn't want to go anywhere. So I can't tell you countless sleepovers I missed. I didn't do camp. I didn't do even church camp. Like I missed out on all of that because of my anxiety. I never felt like I was like deprived of anything, but now as I'm older, I'm like, man, there's so many things that I wish I would have done, but because of my anxiety, I didn't.
How has God healed you throughout this process of dealing with anxiety?
So it wasn't until when me and Albert got engaged, I'm like, I really need to do something that is gonna help me, you know, because I wanted it to help my marriage, I wanted to help my family. I didn't want everyone to carry this burden that I had. So I sought out and I did Celebrate Recovery. And that was like pivotal in my journey in the sense that it helped me figure out my triggers. It helps me figure out, like looking at it in a sense like where I can understand it. And so when anxiety would come on in my life, or if I started having a panic attack, I could talk myself down and just be like, okay, this is what it is. It's gonna stop, you know, just kind of ride out this wave. And knowing everything, like finding all the knowledge in anxiety and all that was really helpful to me. And just kind of helped me learn what it was, learn what I was feeling, so I knew how to combat it. I knew how to pray. I knew what to pray because I was understanding it more, so I knew how to stop it from becoming worse than what it was. Right now, I just feel like with each panic attack now, it's so different, whereas before it was like chaos and me begging my mom to take me to the ER because I was dying. Now it's just more so he's given me such knowledge to knowing that that's all it is. And I just feel his presence now in the sense that he's there the whole time. Whereas before I kept asking, where's God? Now I feel him there and I know he's there holding me through it.
Knowing what you know now and where God has taken you, what would you tell your 19-year-old self?
Ooh, that's a good question. Just telling myself that your healing is coming, just me knowing that would have relieved a lot of pressure. I always hoped it would be instant healing, but now when I look back, I see all these moments that I had like such intimate moments with God, just me and him, crying out to him, and I would have missed all those moments. So sometimes I feel like he wants to show us stuff slowly. So he constantly reminds us that we need to hold his hand throughout all of this. And that you can be a strong Christian and have struggles, because I think that was something that was painted wrong to me before. I had many people pray over me like, you need to have more faith, and I constantly felt this shame that I wasn't a good Christian because I was struggling. And that's so far from the truth. You can be both. And if anything, you're a better Christian for being honest. You're a better Christian for being transparent because you're sharing hope with other people who are struggling with the same thing.